This summer, my family and I did a cruise aboard the Carnival Celebration to the ABC Islands. The ABC Islands are Aruba, Bonaire, and Curaçao, and they are located in the southern Caribbean. The first stop on our cruise was at the island of Curaçao. Curaçao is a beautiful island and was a lot of fun for my family and I. I'm not going to talk too much about Curaçao just because I already did a video on the excursion that we went on in Curaçao, but I'll be sure to link it below and make sure you check that video out. If you're looking for an excursion or want to get off the boat and explore the island or the beautifully clear water that surrounds the island, then there are plenty of options for that. But also if you're looking for just maybe grabbing a bite to eat or doing a little souvenir shopping, there's a lot of options within a really easy walk from the boat as well. Curaçao was an awesome island and a really cool stop on our cruise. So stop number 2 along our cruise was at Bonaire, and this was the island that I knew the absolute least about. So my expectations were pretty low going in, but it ended up exceeding those by far. So the excursion that we decided to go on met right out front of the boat. It was very easy to find, didn't have to really look for anything other than the sign. And then the guide took us as a group and walked over to where the boat was parked. And we decided to do the Samoa Sail Beach and Snorkel through Carnival. I'm probably not saying Samoa right, but I highly recommend this excursion. It was a lot of fun. The weather was beautiful, which definitely helped, but we had an amazing time on this excursion. So once everybody was on board, we set sail and we were headed to No Name Beach, which was a secluded beach that was absolutely beautiful. And you could snorkel from there, you could just walk and relax on the beach, kind of whatever you wanted to do. And the crew was on hand, so if you had any questions or needed help with anything, snorkeling, whatever, they were there to help. The boat would also drop you off a little before it parked because if you wanted to snorkel a little bit longer than just off the beach by yourself, they would let you do that. We chose not to do that and kind of just snorkel on our own. But there was a little ridge that ran along parallel to the beach line where there was a lot of fish kind of congregated right there, which was really cool. You could see all sorts of different types and some corals and all sorts of stuff. So it was really beautiful to be able to do that and snorkel. So after we got done snorkeling, we decided to enjoy some sunshine and just hang out on the beach. The rest of my family had done something else that day, so it was just me and my wife, and it was really nice to enjoy that time together, just taking in the scenery and enjoying the wildlife that we were seeing on the beach. So after a little while, we got back on the boat and started to head back towards the cruise ship. And during this, the crew would give us some rum punch or stuff to drink, and it was just very relaxing, and you kind of got to enjoy that time going back to the boat. Once the excursion was over, we decided to take a quick walk to Carol's Beach Bar. All the tables are over the water. There's an area to swim. I did not swim, but surprisingly, a lot of people were swimming in the middle of the day after their lunch. But the scenery is just awesome. You get to overlook the water while you eat. And while we were there, we got to see our boat go by on another excursion for the day, which was really cool to get a different perspective on it. But yeah, I definitely recommend that excursion, and I really recommend Carol's Beach Bar. It was really delicious. Bonaire ended up being an amazing stop on our cruise. Highly recommend a cruise that goes to Bonaire or even just visiting Bonaire. The people were so nice, so friendly. It was an absolutely beautiful island. The third and final stop on our cruise was Aruba. This was the island that I had heard the most about, was probably the most excited for. It ended up being my least favorite of the three, probably to no fault of Aruba's, but the original excursion that we booked was canceled basically as we were walking to the excursion to get on the boat, which was a real bummer and left us kind of scrambling to get a new excursion. last second, which a lot of the good ones were already booked up, and it just ended up being kind of a lot more stressful than it needed to be. The excursion we ended up getting on was actually really fun and really good. It was a banana bus tour, and the final destination was the beach. But on the way there, you would stop at some of the sites that Aruba is known for. This was the California Lighthouse. You got to spend probably about, I don't know, 5 minutes there. It was very quick. You get off, take your pictures, do what you got to do, and then get right back on the bus and keep going. There's our little banana bus in the background right there. So once you've seen the lighthouse and taken your pictures, it's time to get back on the bus and head to the beach. So the beach it drops you off at is Eagle Beach, which is known as one of the best beaches in the world. And it was a really good beach. The swimming was great. The water wasn't very rough. There was no real current. Just an awesome beach and a great time. So Aruba was not my favorite, but it wasn't really Aruba's fault. And I would be willing to give it another go. But overall, this ABC Islands cruise was absolutely amazing. My family had a great time, and I would highly recommend if you get the chance.